When's a better time than my final year of art college to try out YouTube again? This video will serve as a test for my English abilities in terms of oral narration, because I'm not sure whether to stay in my French comfort zone or to risk it all in English. And aside from that, I miss video editing. And though I enjoy making 30-second Insta Reels with hours of video editing and animation, I feel like the YouTube format corresponds much better to my grandiose ambitions in audiovisual. That being said, let's jump on the topic. I'm working on a webcomic not yet released called Thorn of Eden. Did you know the first news agency had the control of all the information available at the time? Well, take that concept and make it worse. The Eden House News Agency handles everything from newspapers to libraries and public entertainment. If they think you cause trouble to their business, they get rid of you. And if you're one of their employees, it may be even more dangerous actually, but that's what Morgan is for. He's here to investigate the death of his dear friend Rachel after her strange brother reaches out to him. This brother's name is Isaiah, and he suspects a woman named Ellen for the murder of his sister. She was her direct superior in the Eden House, and it seems like they disliked each other. So Isaiah will get Morgan inside the Eden House to work as an assistant for Ellen so they can investigate her. That's basically the plot. Now, why am I pitching you all this if it's not even published yet? Well, because I like to talk about my characters' relationship, personalities, and design, but I feel really awkward doing it out loud in society most of the time. So if you really end up interested, I posted the first chapter of the comic on my Patreon, but it will end up on Webtoon eventually. Tropes. Do you know how many comics there are about a wealthy, cold CEO falling in love with his cute, helpless secretary? Me neither, but it seemed popular enough that I've heard about it. And to be honest, I was interested in that dynamic. Without even making it romantic, just having two individuals in different power levels in the holy hierarchy of a massive corporation trying to navigate daily life. God, that sentence was long. And they start by disliking each other, or better, hating each other's guts, but being forced to team up and slowly opening up to one another. That's my jam. But make the wealthy superior a woman who wants to be alone and force her to work with a young man she deems useless and unworthy of the position. And there I have my story. Ellen can't bear to have him around the office, but Morgan has to earn his position whatever it takes. He needs to stay here as long as possible if he wants to uncover the truth about Rachel. And maybe this job was his goal too. Before his dream was stained by the loss of his friend. As long as he can remember, the advertisement of the Eden House always fascinated him. Even before he was even free of the circus he was raised in by the entertainment branch of the Eden House. So for all these reasons, Morgan has to play the nice, reliable servant for Ellen. He's the one being patient with her all the time, but the best part is that he hates her even more than she hates him. She killed his friend for all he knows, and she's assuming he slept with someone to get the position, not knowing he worked for a diploma before Isaiah got him in the Eden House to investigate. I love depicting the frustration of Morgan. I find it reliable. Putting up with the strong temper of everyone else because you can't afford to be disliked, your future is in the balance. And for Morgan, it's even more than a job. It's the opportunity to bring justice to his friend, but also to show his loyalty to Rachel and her family. That's something he struggles a lot with, knowing who to be devoted to. He tends to fall in the extremes. He will either be heart and soul loyal to someone, or choose to never help anyone ever again because it's less painful and everyone can forget about him. So he has let down people in the past, and maybe he will again. But at least he's sure that what he's doing for Rachel and Isaiah is good. Surely he won't hurt anyone in the process and be faced by his struggle with deep relationships once again. But there's an aspect of his personality that is pretty solid at the moment of the story. Kids should be protected. You're not betrayed by a child when he's mean to you after you try to help him. He's a kid. So if there's someone Morgan won't give up on, it's the kids of his surrounding, even the most aggressive ones. The struggle of Morgan with loyalty comes directly from the place he grew up in. This place is called an Eden history. A long time ago, there were a lot of independent brothels in town. But when the Eden House started gaining power and money, they bought the businesses. And they realized something. Their employees have kids to feed. How could we make some profit from it? I mean, offering these poor souls work opportunities in a human and selfless way. Let's make them perform. shove them all inside a gigantic building with beds and rooms to rehearse their shows, and allow them security and dignity. Only if they're behaving well, of course. Or else you get put in isolation and let to nearly starve for a few days, all while being instructed to devote your entire self to the Eden House and their Edenisteries. Because they're keeping you alive. They're even making you famous. How ungrateful would you be to rebel against this system? Morgan was well aware of it. He had barely anything to complain about. He was the headmistress's favorite. He thought nothing harsh could happen to him, even when taking the blame for some violent act. But he couldn't have been more wrong. He was thrown into isolation for so long he started to lose his mind, only remembering the last person he saw before this nightmare began. All this mind torture to be met in the end with the hard truth that the headmistress did know he didn't do anything, but respected his choice to take the punishment. That's how much she respects him. In fact, she'd like to take him home and have him all for herself as a domestic, now that his punishment has ended. Little did she know, Morgan isn't having it anymore. There's no loyalty left in him for this place or this woman. And the friend he helps by taking the blame, he can go to hell, and so does the whole Edenistery. He gets out of here quickly after his release and starts his new life knowing only one thing for sure. These posters the Eden House made of him and the other kids, they looked awesome. He's going to make one someday and be paid for it. So that's a big chunk of his early backstory. He doesn't know much about his parents. Most of the kids are just given to the Edenistery in the hope of them having a better life, and they end up never getting out of here. Keeping the children cut from society is part of the strategy to keep them dependent on this job. They've never known anything else, and it doesn't seem that bad most of the time. It's better than the streets. But the whole brainwashing thing was too much for him, and he was much better off out in town. He got lucky and met new friends, family, and he managed to get into the Art Academy of Varlin. But he made a lot of mistakes on the way, not really sure how to navigate relationships outside the Edenistery, and when the story starts, these mistakes are starting to catch up to him. And the only person he felt comfortable helping out and being friends with was killed. So now he's trying to rely on the trust he had with Rachel to build a friendship with her brother, since they have to work together. But this man is unhinged, for the least, and Morgan is very confused most of the time, because Isaiah doesn't seem to have had a normal childhood either, despite having the same loving family as Rachel. He's unpredictable, aggressive, but friendly at the same time, and looks like he sleeps 5 hours a week. So these two can have pretty entertaining interactions. They're awkward in their own way, but they have the same goal apparently, so they will try working together to uncover the truth. I can't wait to get to the part of the comic where they start opening up to each other, for the character development, but also because I try to make every information relevant for the story and the public, so I like what I come up with. I think it's coherent. I hope so. I hope you'll like it too when it comes out. That's what I'll end this rambling video with. I'm not claiming to be extremely original in my story, but I think some people could still enjoy it. Don't be ashamed to fully indulge in popular tropes you like, because in the end you write for yourself before anyone else. And if you never finish whatever you're working on, at least you'll have a good time making it. That's how I approached this comic, and it's been 3 years. So maybe the advice can help a few people with lack of motivation. Whatever you're doing, it's a good training.